rumor has it, or the story I was told at least, is that the Hoover Dam was drafted up there in the basement of the Eccles mansion. Hey friends, what's going on? I am coming to you from my 1990 Ford Ranger, and I decided that, you know, I've made a lot of videos around the town that I live in, but I've never made a video of the town I live in. And I know a lot of you subscribers either have lived here, currently live here, or looking to live here. So why not make a video about Ogden, Utah? So here we go. I'm not going to be like a tour guide or anything. I'm just going to drive around different areas, different highlights of the town, things that people like, things that I like, and show them to you. So, you know, and I'll just kind of give you my perspective. But first of all, we are on 24th Street heading east. And this is one of the main roads into town off of I-15. So we are in West Ogden right now. Just heading straight towards the mountains. Now, I've spent a lot of time in the mountains that you see up there. In fact, my favorite hike is right ahead of me. That's Hidden Valley up in that little bowl. But yeah, we're on 24th Street now. We're going over what is called the viaduct, and it spans over the train yards. Now, when my dad was a kid, he said that these the railroad tracks actually expanded from one end to the other. I'll show you what I'm talking about. But if you look out in this field here, you can just see that there's a couple of train tracks. But my dad told me that they went all the way from, you know, to the right of the screen there, all the way over here to Union Station, which is just, you know, to my 2 o'clock. So we're gonna go check that out in just a minute. So Ogden has a nickname of Junction City, and back when railroad travel was very popular, it was known as the Crossroads of the West. They said you couldn't go anywhere without coming through Ogden. So that's why there's such a railroad history here. So heading west on 25th Street, right ahead of us is the Union Station. This is the old railroad station. It's actually the second iteration of Union Station. The first one burnt down in the early 1900s. But this is kind of the crown jewel of 25th Street, good old Union Station. There's restaurants in here, kind of a ballroom. The Browning Museum, Browning rifles, guns were founded up in Morgan, Utah, which is up the canyon, but Ogden also lays claim to that fame. But there's a museum in there, all the different guns and stuff. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to show you 25th Street next. But before I show you 25th Street, you got to check this out. There's a bunch of old locomotives that they have parked on the south side of the Union Station. Some old historic cars. But yeah, there it is. Talk a little quiet because there's people around and I always get shy on camera. Looks like they're doing a photo shoot down there. Alright, on to 25th Street. I have my Osmo Action on top of the truck, just recording this whole thing hooked to a battery pack. And so I'm actually thinking that I'll just do a full video of that. Of course, I'll splice some of that video in here, but I'll do a full video of just what I've been driving around and just put it to music, maybe, you know, some nice chill music, something we can study to. So I'll be sure to link that video as well. I don't know, might be interesting. Okay, so now we're heading east on 25th Street. There's a lot of local shops down here. You're not really gonna find any chain stuff except for like Cold Stone or something like that. And gotta watch for pedestrians. There's actually a WB movie or TV show that was filmed mostly on 25th Street called Everwood. I don't know if you ever watched that, but there's also scenes in the the Yellowstone series with freak, I can't remember names now. Waterworld guy, what's his name? I'll think of it. Anyway, those are shot on 25th Street too. There's Brewster's Brewing, pretty sweet place. And yeah, just cruising along. Why can't I think of his name right now? The pandemic has really like messed with my head in remembering names. On your right there is the Ben Lomond Hotel. That was built in the 1920s or 30s, I believe. And fun fact, that's where mine and my wife's reception was. And now it's called the Bigelow, but I still call it the Ben Lomond. Kevin Costner. This is Kevin Costner. And right here is the municipal building. The city jail used to be in the top floor of it. Now I believe they just keep some records up there, but I would love to get a tour of the old jail that's up there. I don't know if it's interesting or not, but if anyone is watching that has a hookup for that, let's give the people a tour of the old jail on top of the municipal building. I think it's like 13 stories high. Now we're cruising west on Washington Boulevard. Ogden's north and south running streets are named after presidents for the most part. So we got Washington. I live up above Harrison. You know, there's Polk, there's Jefferson, there's Adams. So it's a great way to learn your presidents. Just name the streets after them. But if you were heading anywhere north or south before they built the interstate, you would have either passed through Ogden on Washington Boulevard or Wall Avenue. So got a guy promoting taxes. There you go. You know, Ogden has gone through a lot of different ups and downs, I'd say. Like for instance, when the railroad kind of was a less popular way to travel, you know, people didn't really come through Ogden as much as they used to. And then we have a big military base, Hill Air Force Base, just to the south of us. And there was a big defense depot that I believe shut down in the 90s. And when that shut down, a lot of jobs were lost. So downtown Ogden really kind of fell to disrepair. A lot of businesses didn't want to be down there. Going back in history, 25th Street was pretty rough in that there were brothels, saloons, bars, a lot of underground activity, which you probably saw in one of my other videos where we're trying to drill to see if we can find a bootlegger tunnel. I gotta make a part 2. You guys gotta hold me to it. I'll make part 2, don't worry about it, but we'll do it. Anyway, so yeah, so Ogden's kind of gone up and down, and right now it's actually back into one of its up phases. There's a lot of businesses moving to Ogden. It's still relatively inexpensive to move here, and yeah, I see a lot of apartments, a lot of townhomes. There's not a lot of new building in and around Ogden because it's already established, but if you head out west, I mean, it's all new homes, so lots going on. So I'm going to hang a left up here on Washington Boulevard because we'll technically be leaving Ogden and going into South Ogden. South Ogden isn't just an area, it's actually its own city. So I'm giving you a tour of my city. So we're going to ditch out early on South Ogden. Although South Ogden's really nice, but it's only here because Ogden's here. So got to give credit where credit's due. One of the reasons I wanted to make this video today is because the mountains are just looking spectacular. We finally got a couple of inches of snow. Just on the other side of Mount Ogden is Snow Basin ski resort. Also over there is Powder Mountain and Nordic Valley, so we're right close to 3 ski resorts. You guys, I gotta pay more attention to what I'm doing. I've had this clipped to the seat belt as my microphone to give you guys better audio, and I looked down and it was missing, and I found it down on the floor, and I didn't know how long it had been down there on the floor. getting terrible audio because of how far away it was. But then I realized I hadn't even turned it on, and so the audio that you're hearing is coming through the Osmo Pocket, which, you know what, I'm not even going to worry about this thing. We're just going straight native audio into the Osmo Pocket 2. This is the Pocket 2. So let me know what you think of this audio. We'll put it to the test. Anyway, back to our mission. Off to the right there is McCady Hospital. We have 2 hospitals in town. Well, I guess we have one because the other one's in South Ogden. Yeah, that's McCady Hospital. It's funny, I said I wasn't going to give you a tour, and I'm totally giving you a tour, so this has turned into a tour video. A little known fact about me on the channel is that I was a tour guide in Alaska, so this comes natural to me. Alright, so right here is the Weber ice sheet, Weber County ice sheet, and that's where the 2002 Olympics were held. Well, curling was held there, and the only concussion I've ever gotten in my life was when I was trying curling for the first time and slipped on the ice and smacked the back of my head. So yeah, anyway, that's where curling took place. And now we are coming upon the D Event Center, home of the Weber State Wildcats, also home of Damian Lillard, NBA MVP and Rookie of the Year. That's where he played. Holds about 12,000 people. And sorry for the dirty windows. That's where Dewey sits, and I guess he licks the windows. But yeah, this is the D Event Center. They do a lot more than just play basketball there, but it looks like there might be a game tonight. I haven't been to one this year. There you go. You can see the Olympic rings over there. That's where all the rich people in Ogden live. Shout out to them. This YouTube channel takes off, maybe I'll be joining them up there someday. Now we're just checking out a typical Ogden neighborhood. A lot of the homes down below Harrison were built in the turn of the century, 20s, 30s. Up where I live, 40s and 50s, and then you get out here, a lot of 60s and 70s homes. So you can kind of see the expansion of the town. But straight up ahead is Stewart Stadium, and that is where the football team plays for Weber State University, my alma mater. I need to get out of the truck for a minute. This stadium's actually come quite a long way since I went to school here. Let me see if I can show you what they've done. That building over there, the Elizabeth D. Shaw Stewart building, that's all brand new. They got this new scoreboard. Anybody from Weber State Planning, Zoning Committee, whatever, who makes decisions, I want to put this on record because I've had this idea ever since I went to school here. Here's what you need to do. You got to get rid of the track, put it somewhere else. I have nothing against track and field. Then you got to take these bleachers and scoot them in, scoot the field over closer to these bleachers, and close this bad boy off. Get rid of the track, because when you watch football games here, you feel so far away from the field. I'll finish what I was saying here in the truck. Anyway, you just feel so far removed from the game with that track in between. You know, tracks around football fields, that's for high schools. Let's get the fans closer. I know that's a multi-million dollar project, and when I become a millionaire, multi-millionaire, you know, I'll put some money towards it. There it is, it's on record. I always said that I would, when I became rich, I'd buy the university a new bus, because I actually used to drive the buses for Weber State, and they needed a new bus, but now I don't even think they have their bus program like they used to, so I'll put it towards the football field. Alright, enough rambling. Can't get enough of these mountains. Looks like we got some renovations going on here. A lot's changed even, you know, in the 10-11 years since I went to school here. But this is it, Weber State University, home of the Wildcats, my alma mater. And I got a degree in communication here. So yeah. There's more of the university with the mountains behind it. Been a lot of good days up here. Alright, let's show you more of Ogden. So now I am headed north on Harrison Boulevard, so another one of the presidential streets. So now I'm headed north on Harrison Boulevard, one of the presidential streets. And up here is the famous Ogden High. Well, somewhat famous Ogden High. I've showed it before in one of my videos. The video about the wind knocking everything over. So let's check it out. So this is Ogden High. It was built in the 30s. It was one of the projects to boost the economy. I believe it was the first building to cost over $1 million this side of the Mississippi. This is all going off of stuff I've been told. But anyway, speaking of movies from earlier, or TV shows, the most popular movie that was filmed here was 3 O'Clock High. But then I think there was like a Melissa Joan Hart movie filmed here. Also, there was like a YouTube TV or YouTube Red series that was filmed here. Everyone's looking at me as I'm walking around talking to a camera. But, who cares? Oh, and you notice, got my Ogden is awesome shirt on. But yeah, Ogden High, this is my dad's alma mater. I didn't go to high school here. I didn't actually even grow up in Ogden, but this is the longest I've lived anywhere, so it's definitely home now. But we used to come visit my grandma who lived right above Ogden High, so that's always kind of been like a landmark in my life because it was such a unique looking high school. We called it the Sand Castle. And anytime I traveled to Utah with friends, I was always excited to show them how cool this high school was. So back on Harrison Boulevard, to be honest, Harrison Boulevard has not changed much, if at all, since from when I was a kid coming to visit my grandma. This is how we'd get to my grandma's house. And it really looks pretty much the same. I mean, there's been a few businesses that have come and gone, but for the most part, not much has changed on Harrison Boulevard. So up ahead we have Ogden Canyon. I'll be coming out onto Canyon Road here in just a second, but this is what takes you up into the valley. People on this side of the mountain call it Ogden Valley. Everyone up there just calls it the valley. You know, before moving to Ogden or even telling people that I live in Ogden, you know, if for anyone that's from around here, they always kind of raise their eyebrow and say, you know, Ogden's kind of ghetto. And you know what? It hasn't always had the best reputation, but you're hard-pressed to find somebody who has moved here or moved away from here and that just absolutely hate it, you know? I mean, I know there's people out there that do, but for the most part, like, everybody loves it here. And anyone that comes and visits say how much they like it. There's just lots to do, you know, outdoors and indoors. All right, so we are headed west on Canyon Road. This actually turns into 12th Street, which is another major road into town from the interstate. So we're gonna show you a few more spots, then we'll wrap this thing up. So we're back on Harrison Boulevard. It turns into Mountain Road. This will take us into North Ogden. As you can see, we get pretty creative with our city names here. North Ogden is also a separate city. And I always make the joke that the people from North Ogden, they don't even come to Ogden. They bypass Ogden and go down to like Farmington or Salt Lake City. They don't want anything to do with it. You know, I might get some flack for saying that on camera, but North Ogden's kind of like its own little city up there. A nice one, lots of nice people, but feels just so far away. So I'm gonna cross over Washington Boulevard on 2nd Street. If we head any further north, we'll get into like Harrisville area and then into North Ogden. So like I said, this is a video about Ogden, Utah. So I want to show you the old Defense Depot. It's actually now called the BDO, Business Depot Ogden. It was the DDO, Defense Depot Ogden. And a lot of people worked out here, and then it got shut down. So kind of drove the economic downturn of Ogden City. But what's awesome is that they've taken a lot of these abandoned buildings and now turned them into business depots. And there's probably some businesses that you've heard of if you're not from around here. There's a lot of national and international businesses that have moved in to the BDO. So I'll just show you some of the old buildings. The railroad it still kind of runs through here, but used to run through these buildings. They could load up the box cars with ammunition and military gear. So this is your typical BDO building. And yeah, they all just kind of look like this. And they've all been repurposed into other stuff. I'm just gonna hit this roundabout and head on my merry way. And this is just like a tiny, tiny portion of the BDO. There are tons of buildings out here. I'm not gonna bore you with all that. Headed back south on Washington Boulevard. You can see this is a pretty major thoroughfare. And if you come down here on a Friday or Saturday night, people are just cruising up and down this street. They call it cruising the Vard. And some of the loudest mufflers you'll ever hear. I feel bad for anyone that lives on Washington Boulevard for that reason. I know this DJI Pocket 2 doesn't do it justice, but the Mount Ogden just hanging out over the city is spectacular. It's really popping off today, as they say. Yeah, it's a beautiful mountain to live under. All right, now that this has turned into a tour video, we're about to end the tour. But if you were a traveler heading from north to south, back before the interstate was built, you would have been on this road and you would have seen a sign that I'm going to show you in just a second. If you're from here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We have the Ogden Arch. It says home of Weber State University, Pioneer Days, week July 24th. And then if you're going north, it says it pays to live in Ogden. And we just crossed over the Ogden River. Little known fact, a lot of people think that Ogden City was named after Peter Skeen Ogden, which in a roundabout way it was. But Ogden River was named after Peter Skeen Ogden, and the city was named after the river. So there's a little degree of separation there. And you can fact check me on that one. And if I'm wrong, I'm happy to accept the correction. Let me know in the comments below. The last area we'll hit in this video is the junction. Ogden's effort to revitalize downtown, it's just adjacent from 25th Street, which was that kind of shopping area that we saw at the first of the video, but this is kind of turned into another little shopping area. And the pinnacle of it is the Megaplex Theater, which I'm interested to see, you know, the future of theaters, especially after the pandemic. I know they still show movies here, but it's really limited. But yeah, this is the junction. This used to be Ogden City Mall, made famous by the music video I Think We're Alone Now by Tiffany. If you YouTube that video, you'll see she's right in front of a sign that says Ogden City Mall. And one thing that people remember about that mall is that they used to have like one of those walkway bridges across Washington Boulevard. So if you're from here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, this is the junction. So you can see if we were to go straight, one more block over is 25th Street. So it kind of connects the two. And back over over the viaduct, over the old train yard there. Again, this all used to be railroad tracks, but now there's maybe a half a dozen or so. You got Ben Lomond over there and Ogden City in the rearview mirror. And I think this is where I'll end the video. I am out in front of the old Ogden stockyards. You might be able to make it out, but up there where you might see gargoyles, you actually see sheep and cows. And what's special about this building is that my grandpa actually had an office in here. He was a sheep broker, and this whole area out here was all pens and transfers. I don't know what the proper terminology is, but you know, different areas where they'd load up animals and sell them and ship them off from ranches and farmers from all over the West. And now what they're doing down here is making it more of a business park. So we got like a distillery over here. If you're a cyclist, there's NV Composites and a few other businesses that are moving in down here, and they're actually going to revitalize this building. So that's it for this video. Well, friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. It definitely turned into a tour, but what else would you expect? I mean, I was showing you around the town that I live in. And, you know, to be honest, Ogden has actually kind of shaped me, even though I didn't grow up here. About 8.5 years ago, I started an Instagram account, which I'll link down below, called This is Ogden. And if you really want to see what this city is about, check that account out. Even if you're not from here, give it a follow. Basically, all I do is repost other people's photos, and yeah, it really shows what Ogden has going on, and it's a lot of fun. But you know, it's caused me to really appreciate this town. And so if your town doesn't have an Instagram account like that, or some sort of Facebook page like that, go ahead and start one. You don't have to go out and take the pictures. You can let other people do it, and then you just feature them and give them credit. That's what I've done for the past 8.5 years. Anyway, check that out. But yeah, this is Ogden. That's what the Instagram account is called, and I totally did not mean to say that. But that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, there's going to be a lot more videos kind of like this, where I walk around, drive around, hike around, and show you things that I like. I like to be outside mostly. Hit that subscribe button down below. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Comment, let me know what you think of Ogden, Utah. If you're from here, if you moved away from here, where did you move to? Also, the last thing is, if you haven't yet, check out the memberships. I have started a membership page where you can get extra content and enjoy these videos a little bit quicker. So look for that little join button down below as well. But that's it for me. I hope you guys are staying safe, staying healthy, and of course, as always, be kind to each other. Peace.